What's going on, folks? Ted from Nerd Immersion here, and with Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft on the horizon, coming out in just under a week, I thought it would be a good time to talk about lycanthropes and lycanthropy as far as it pertains to 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons. There's not a lot on it, which I think is kind of a bummer. There's some really cool stuff coming in Van Richten's, which I'll cover in depth next week, or you could go back and dig through the live stream to find out about it. Some changes to specific instance there. However, I thought it would be a good time, and I got a suggestion from a viewer to go ahead and make this video, so I figured, why not? Before I dive into that, though, I wanted to talk to you about the sponsor for today's video, and that is Griot's Guide to the Wildlands, which is just as of a couple hours ago live on Kickstarter. You can see the funding goal is set for $15,000, and it's currently rising here, almost at $4,000 with 34 days left to go. And this is from Next Level Games, and essentially this is a wilderness tome, right? And I'll be honest, I've said this before, and I continually see it. Overland travel, traveling through the wilderness and all that kind of stuff is something that I don't think is handled very well in 5th edition. We got a little bit of updates from the Wilderness Kit DM's Guide, but as you can see here, this is not only hazards and encounters that you can run for your players, it's skill challenges, which don't formally exist in 5e, so I'm curious to see how they handle it. Backgrounds, story hooks. It says new skill proficiencies, which is interesting. That's something we haven't really seen before. Monsters and more. And what I like is it goes through and it describes a bunch of things here on the Kickstarter that you can go and check out, both that it's good for excessive planning DMs or more like myself, more inspirational, kind of improv in the moment DMs. And there's a variety, it breaks it down kind of into 4 separate parts here. So the first part is how to handle overland travel and go about different challenges in the wilderness. Then they have descriptive text and how to deal with different encounters. You can see some of them right here, flash flood and different ways to handle that here. How players should react to it. And then again, mechanical resolutions for how to deal with things. And they even say it right here, no more clunky conversions from previous editions, because that's what a lot of folks have been doing. Also, I'll say that some of the funding goals right now, as you can see here, the early bird ones and whatnot, you can get this for get a PDF for as low as $20 for the next 46 hours. And then again, there's the standard $25 after the early bird has ended. But for only $40, you can get the early bird PDF and the standard edition cover. They're also looking to do play tests and early access and things like that. So that's pretty cool to help formalize everything here. There's a limited edition cover option, which, if you're a collector of that kind of things like I am, there's something you can go for. And a ton of built out stretch goals covering different regions, crafting, I love crafting, vehicles, NPCs, monsters, and so on. So there's a lot of stuff here. I'm always looking for ways that I can expand my game, whether it be adding new mechanics, looking up new things, and let's be honest, D&D is an amalgam of a bunch of resources. Official, third-party, things like that. So I'm excited for Griot's Guide to the Wildlands. I'll be picking it up myself to see what I can sample and add into my own game. Thank you for sponsoring this video. So let's head over to D&D Beyond and talk about lycanthropes. So really the only kind of canonical information we have is in the monster manual. Under the letter L, there's a section called lycanthropes. And it has the very much Gaston fighting the beast, as so many people have pointed out here. And it basically goes into a little bit about lycanthropy. And one of my biggest complaints is that it's so easy to get rid of lycanthropy, right? You get bit, you succumb to the curse. It says right here, a remove curse spell can rid an afflicted lycanthrope of the curse, but a natural-born lycanthrope can be freed of the curse only with a wish spell, right? So if your parents were both werewolves and you were, natural birth from that, you will now have to use wish to get rid of it. Whereas if you bite someone and inflict lycanthropy upon them, a simple remove curse spell can remove it. Which is something I hadn't really thought about, the whole natural born lycanthrope, if that's an issue that you're trying to overcome, or you want to have that. Because I feel like most people in most instances that I've seen, when people are playing, they're either looking to acquire lycanthropy or they have acquired it through the course of a backstory or something like that. Which, again, a simple remove curse spell, which is a 3rd level spell that most classes have access to, can rid it. And remove curse is not a spell that requires someone to make a saving throw, because more often than not, it is beneficial when you are removing a curse. But if I went through the efforts and got bit by a werebear to become a werebear and have all the benefits that come with that, anybody could just cure me of that at any time just by putting a hand on me. There's no saving throw associated. So I guess if you were born a werebear, that's a fun way to build into a story so you don't have to worry about someone just loosing that from you with a simple 3rd level spell. And then it goes on to describe a little bit about, how you can, it's a curse and you can embrace it and how it can afflict certain other, it's primarily humans are afflicted with lycanthropy, but in my mind, there's no reason why it could be an elf. And I do like this little bit right here where it says they might take on the racial traits in some aspects of the original base afflicted with it. For example, an elf werewolf might have a fey ancestry trait, which I thought was interesting. So we have the standard ones here in the monster manual, the were-boar, were-bear, were-rat, were-tiger, and were-wolf. And then we have also the were-raven, which was added in Curse of Strahd and then revamped in Candlekeep Mysteries. So, and there's this section here. This is kind of the only bit we have, player characters as lycanthropes. So if you get bit, you keep all the same statistics, but you get the following kind of changes here. You gain the ability, you gain the lycanthrope speed in non-humanoid form. You get the damage and damage immunities, traits, and actions that don't involve equipment, right? So if you look at the werebear, you'll see down here it has Great Axe. You don't obviously get a Great Axe attack unless you can use a Great Axe. But you get its, again, non-humanoid form, so that means when in hybrid form or when in animal form, because a lycanthrope in D&D can go into they can look like a human, they can look like the animal, right, a wolf, a bear, a rat, whatever the case may be, or a hybrid, which is what most of us think of when we think of a lycanthrope, a werewolf, sort of that hybrid in between. The character is proficient with the lycanthrope's natural attacks, such as bites and claws, which deal damage as shown in the lycanthrope statistics, and they can't speak while in animal form. A non-lycanthrope bit by them can be afflicted, as per usual, and then you get the following specific benefits based on the lycanthrope that you are bit by. So if it's a werebear, you automatically gain a strength of 19. So if you're a weaker character and get bit by a werebear, your strength becomes 19, which is pretty crazy. And you get a +1 bonus to AC while in bear or hybrid form. So again, as a bear or a werebear kind of form, attacks and damage rolls for your weapons are based on strength. A were-boar gains a strength of 17, a +1 bonus to AC while in boar or hybrid form. And then your attack rolls use strength, but you also get a charge ability here, which they mention here. The DC is 8 plus your proficiency bonus plus your strength modifier. The were-rat gets a strength or gets a dexterity of 15, and their attack and damage rolls are based on strength or dex, whichever's higher. The were-tiger gets a strength of 17. Attack and damage rolls are based on strength, and it gets a pounce trait based on their strength modifier. And the werewolf gets a strength of 15, a +1 bonus to AC while in wolf or hybrid form, and attack and damage rolls for their natural weapons are based on strength. So if we look at the were-bear here, you're going to get all of the traits. So you're going to get the shape changer trait here. You're going to get these immunities, right? Immunity to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage from non-magical attacks that aren't silver. So again, that's flat out immunity, right? So if the weapon is not silver or considered to be magic, because it says non-magical here, you can just take no damage. You get the shape changer ability, which is as an action you can kind of shift between forms. You get keen smell, advantage on perception checks that rely on smell. You don't get multi-attack, but you do get the bite and the claw. So it is based on your strength. So it is your proficiency bonus plus your strength modifier to hit the reach. But the damage here would still be, for the bite, would be 2d10 plus your strength modifier, and the claws would be 2d8 plus your strength modifier. So that's pretty crazy. You also have the climb speed in bear or hybrid form and a 40-foot movement speed while also in bear or hybrid form. And if we were to scroll down, you'll see pretty much similar things across the board here. Shape changer, again, the boar has the charge ability, and they have the tusk feature. See, it says maul, but by that it means the actual hammer, not like mauling someone to death. You also would get the relentless ability, which is if you take 14 or less damage, that would drop you to 0 hit points. You can go to 1 instead. The were-rat's going to get the keen smell, shape changer. All they're going to get is a bite attack. Nothing crazy for them. The tiger gets shape changer, keen hearing, and smell, which is nice. Pounce, bite, and claw. And then the werewolf will get shape changer, keen hearing, and smell, and then a bite and a claw attack. So the only difference here is the new were-raven, which I kind of really like, does not get the immunities. What is it here? The immune to bludgeoning, piercing, slashing from non-magic attacks that aren't silver. they get regeneration, which is they get 10 hit points at the start of every one of their turns. If they take damage from a silver weapon or a spell, it doesn't function until the start of its next turn. When it dies, or it dies only if it starts a turn with 0 hit points and doesn't regenerate. You also would get the Were-Raven's Mimicry ability here. You'd also get the fly forms, right? So in humanoid form, 30 feet, but then 10 feet in 50-foot fly speed in Raven form, and then 30 feet, 50 foot in hybrid form. So as you can see here, you have arms separate. So Were-Raven, honestly, is probably one of the best ones out there because it's going to give you flight. It's going to give you the ability to mimic voices. It's going to give you regen. And the regen happens regardless of the form you're in, which I should mention the immunities happen regardless of the form you're in as well. And then you would just get a beak attack here, which does just a d4 damage, but nothing too crazy there. And then, and your dexterity becomes 15 if it wasn't already higher. It does say the bite of a were-raven in raven form deals 1 piercing damage and carries the curse. But other than that, so I do think that the were-raven is were-bear and were-raven are the 2 real winners in my particular mind. I would also bring up this from Infernal Machine Rebuild was a Blood of Lycanthrope Antidote to go the opposite of the Blood of the Lycanthrope Injury Poison, which if this is an injury-based poison. If you hit someone with it and they fail the DC 12 Constitution saving throw, they're inflicted with Lycanthropy, and it's either were-rat, werewolf, or were-boar. Coincidentally, all 3 of these are evil creatures, so when you transform, you are considered evil. And then there is this Blood of the Lycanthrope Antidote, which can cure it. But yeah, I really wanted to bring this up because I wanted to just go through everything, but also talk about it discussion-wise. Do you like Lycanthropy? Do you like that it's so easy to remove it with just a remove curse spell? To me, it feels like it should have some more gravity to it, right? It should be harder to remove. It should be a more difficult thing to overcome, so it has more impact. And then if you do decide to somehow embrace it and overcome the kind of, losing your, control during the full moon and it becomes something that you can transform at will, then it should be an effort to get there, but then it shouldn't be able to just be whisked away by a simple remove curse spell. As I said, the Loot Guru in the Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft that's coming out next week does have a different set of rules for Lycanthropy. They're a little bit harder to break, which I really enjoy. So I think that is a good idea. But I'm curious. I just want to know, do you guys use Lycanthropy? Does it come up often in your games? I had it happen in one game. Someone was afflicted with werewolf Lycanthropy, and we went through a series of trials to get her character to overcome and be able to embrace and control herself while in werewolf form. And that was really cool. Unfortunately, she left the campaign pretty much right after we did that, but it is what it is. So I'm just curious, how would you handle it? I always said if I was going to do it and make rules in my homebrew world, I would make specific Lycanthropy rules that would be different, making things harder to break. Maybe it can only be done on a full moon or something like that. Because I think werewolves and lycanthropes in general are super cool. I think they're awesome. I really like them. There's a lot of great lore and history about them. There are even a lot of really great horror movies and things like that about them as well that I really like. And I always felt like they kind of, both werewolves and vampires, I feel really kind of just, it's not great in 5th edition. At least lycanthropes have more specific rules for how to be them if you contract lycanthropy. But I don't know. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. What do you think about lycanthropy? And if you use them in your games, have you changed them at all? And if so, in what way? So thank you all so much for watching. Thank you again to Griot's Guide to the Wildlands for sponsoring this video. There's a link in the top of the video description as well as a pinned comment if you'd like to go back that. And hey, if you do so, it helps to show them that Nerd Immersion's fans out there are, eager and willing to help out awesome causes, and that, I only put my name on stuff that I think is really worth checking out. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.